turned off. Can you hear me now? I realized the mic was turned off all along. Okay, see, this is why it's important to ask. Alright, I hope everyone can still hear me. You can now put people. Got it. Okay, so I'll send Kelvin. Do you want to join? If you want to join, I can shoot you a link so you join in the stream for a bit. But the work I'm doing today is this markdown parser. This is my first time streaming, so you see, I had to figure out audio, figure out too many things. I feel like a noob, like a newbie who's just confused by every single thing. So back to business, I guess. So I am building a static site generator. So this is the static site generator. It's called Quick Static. If you have any better name, please suggest. And before this markdown parser, I had a kind of I worked on this markdown. Before the static site generator, I worked on this markdown parser, which is what I'm showing now. See, I still have a lot of test cases that are commented out because there is a million edge cases. Okay, just 1 second. I did. Okay, so a call came in and sorry, I had to mute that. So I'm going to have Spunky join the call. So I'm just going to send him an invite now. All right, so I was showing you what the markdown parser looks like. It's a parser combinator, and you see a lot of the test cases. There's so many edge cases. So at some point, I figured I really want to get everything to work. I copied some of these test cases, most of these test cases from another markdown parser called markdown-it. Why I did not actually I was going to contribute these features that are important to me to that library, but I don't like the way they write their parsers. So they're writing their parsers through this kind of events. I've forgotten what the parser approach is called, but it's basically an events lexer pattern. And I prefer writing parsers through parser combinator libraries. And parser combinator libraries are just so much easier. For example, this entire markdown parser is in 183 lines of code. I basically put everything here. Of course, there are things that are missing. So most of this 1,000 lines is tests. So the first 200 lines is what is the actual implementation. And I'm going to even move in more tests. But being able to write a parser in this, in very few lines of code, and then combine, so this is a function that combines all the small parsers into a much bigger parser. So this is the benefit and the beauty, in my opinion. of parser combinators. I want to just keep an eye on the charts just in case. So feel free to shoot questions, and we will just have fun. So instead of this, let's go back to the markdown static site generator. It's super simple. I have a function get file paths recursive that scans a directory given a base directory, and the final output, the final response, is this vector of strings. And this is where we call it. So I have an example. This is basically an example of what a quick static blog would look like. Everything inside example. So you can put all your files at the root level, and then every config and theme is inside here. It's inside this underscore quick static file. So we're basically using that example. We use example. Of course, we try to find the config. Because we are storing a lot of things inside the config, and the config is basically this file here. So right now I don't have much in here, but I would allow people to define anything you like, blah blah blah, in your config, blah blah. And when you define something like this in your config, you can access it inside your markdown and inside your templates. So, but still early days. So in my implementation, I just want to get everything is in this main because I'm trying to quickly prototype everything to just work in a rough form before I start to clean up the code and stuff like that. So right now, we're reading out the config files, and so this is the final config struct. So let me put the comments. Read the config into a config struct. Configs are expect config. So I will just add the comments here. Config struct represents a key value tree. I guess the key value tree of all the I don't know of everything in the quick static config file. The quick static config file should be at static site roots. Oh, hello, Shy Grammar and Tim Cook. Nice.
This is way better than the one I did.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I need to increase my font size. Is it good enough? Hi David, welcome on the stream. Are you
Hi.
Are you enjoying the power of Riverside?
Yeah, I was saying that this is way better than the one we used just now.
Yeah. Let me see. Are you on the stream? I'm not sure you're on the stream. I'm not sure your video is on the stream. That's the problem.
Yeah. think you might have to like add it manually or something.
Oh, everyone can see. Okay. See, I'm such a noob to these things. All right then. I've made everything. Okay, so let's just continue. So I was doing a kind of introduction to the static site engine. So there's this config struct, and if you've used Hugo, so I have API toolkit Hugo somewhere here. Toolkit landing. So when you open a Hugo, this is a Hugo website, basically. So you have this folder structure, and there's always a config file at the root level where you can put anything, although they use terminal. So I'm kind of doing the same thing. I think one of the main difference between my static sites generator and Hugo, because Hugo is a big inspiration, is that one, I think when you come to Hugo, they focus on showing you so much Hugo stuff and less of your actual content that you're writing. So you see all of these folders are basically Hugo folders, layouts,
Yeah.
archetypes, static. Whereas I want to just focus on, like, if I come in here, I want to see my content, my directory structure, everything I'm putting in here. Whereas Hugo makes you put everything under content. So what I'm doing in mine is that, so everything in example is example is an example site. So when you come into an example, any site with quick static is the name, everything you see will be your content. The things that are specific to the static site generator would all be inside quick static. So by default, you're dealing with your content, and then you only need to go in here if maybe you're working on a theme or you want to do some specific things, which you rarely do.
Yeah.
And this was inspired by the fact that for API Toolkit website, I'm having a lot of contributions from people who are not necessarily developers, and having them get exposed to HTML files and all these things is not very nice. I want them to just focus on the markdown. So inside this quick static is where you now have your config. So config is YAML. Hugo supports Tomio, a lot of things. For quick static, we would only support YAML, keeping things simple. And you can put any fields you want in here, and they would automatically be available in the themes and in the markdown. And yeah, you can have a theme. I'm using Liquid, which is what Shopify uses. So the Liquid template engine, it even has the Shopify logo in here. And I found a nice engine for Liquid. So let's go back into the code. So our code, I'm gonna do a lot more coding than explaining stuff. All right.
Man, this Rust looks way better than the one I was writing just now, man. I have a lot to learn about it.
This is the most ugly Rust ever. Hi, Kevin. Yes, it's Liquid. Shopify. Especially when I'm prototyping, I don't want to handle errors. I just want to put this question mark. And coming from Go, both of us write Go. Where Go forces you to handle errors all the time. It's so freeing to just ignore errors, especially when you're just prototyping something. It's so freeing. Kelvin, to be honest, if I was in your shoes, I would use that on-the-shelf engine, because the stress of implementing something new and the fact that all your users have to learn something new again, I think I would need a lot of convincing. See this one, handle errors when you're prototyping. So what's happening? All right, so let's get back into implementation. So what I've done, I've gotten the config. I read the config, the YAML into a struct, and yeah. So I convert the config into a value type, which I also store inside the config itself, because from your config you should be able to render not just the fields that quick static knows about, but also fields that custom fields that you add by yourself. You can reference them from inside your template or inside your markdown. Then I don't want to pass any of the quick static files because those are where templates will be. So I'm recursively walking the entire file path. Or I already walked here in this function. I already walked the entire file path, and I got a vector. And now we're gonna process this vector. See, I stick to EJS. Come, you know me, I've never bought into the JavaScript content ecosystem like that. So I don't reference any of them, Astro or Nox, for any inspiration. I like the markdown ecosystem. All right. So let me execute this even. So I used to have, when I used to work in Rust, I used to have a lot of Rust runables. I used to have a lot of key bindings for executing Rust stuff, but I don't have them anymore. It says no tests found. Oh, why is it C, capital C? That is not nice. I have to type capital C all the time. So to run. Okay. So let's execute this. Well, of course, the usual bow checker trouble. So I passed the raw markdown. It needs, Spanky, this is the same error you were dealing with on your stream. str found string.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is how you have to wrap and unwrap stuff every time.
Yeah, because I'm not handling errors. I'm just telling it crash if it's an error.
Yeah.
Which is good when you're trying to just build the V1 of something. So missing field raw. This is not good. 69. So I've already found the first thing. This raw field in config, I don't expect it to be this config. I don't expect raw to be set by the user because I intend to put something here by myself. But Sede is complaining because it's trying to unmarshal a value into raw, and raw does not exist. So I think there's supposed to be one of these Sede directives to ignore a field. So let's check Sede ignore field. Yeah, I think it should be deserializing. Let's try. So let's try and see. Okay, so it ran. So this is my first run of this markdown static sites generator. So I built this document data correctly, and this is the markdown. The markdown basically looks like this. Let's open it. This is the markdown file. So we're able to read the markdown file, and we're able to extract this part, which is the front matter, and extract this side, which is the content, with no problem. So this is the document. We're able to build this document, and we were able to build basically log document twice. So the next step is that I want to render. So I'm going to render templates twice, and I have to think about this quite a bit. I have to think about this twice, but I'm going to render the markdown as a template because I expect that you can put normal template tags inside your markdown. It's not only in the HTML itself. So this is something that sets it apart from Hugo. In Hugo, you can't put template tags in the markdown. But there's a static site engine called Zola. It's also built in Rust. And they support this functionality, which is, so I'm kind of copying it and stealing it from them. Just don't be ashamed of stealing features from other people. So this is this is template. So they have template tags in the template. But what I'm looking for is template tags in the markdown. It's supposed to be here somewhere. Section. Yeah, you know the rule about presentations. Anytime you're presenting something, it becomes hard to find stuff that you always find.
I think his mindset, the idea of streaming is so that people can see what you are doing. So the way I just look at it is, you know what, let me just do this,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it as presenting. I just see it as other people watching me do the same thing I do every day.
That's a very good mindset actually for this thing. I would borrow that mindset. But this is what I was trying to show you, that they allow you to put in normal template tags inside your markdown. And being able to do this saves a lot of stress. For example, if I want to have in Hugo, if I want to have, maybe I can even just show you with our website, API Toolkit. So let's say this blog list, on this page now, I'm showing all the articles.
Yeah.
To do this in Hugo, in Hugo, I basically had to implement a custom file for the blog list. Not this one. Yeah, this one. So I basically had to write HTML because I needed to use all the normal template tags, and I needed to loop over. There should be range somewhere. Yeah, loop over all the categories, etc., etc. But the whole goal of this quick static site engine is that no HTML. I don't want anyone to write HTML for any reason, especially for stuff that you can do. So this kind of list page, you should be able to do it in your markdown. Maybe just write one of these in markdown and then do the loop using the template tags in that page. So that is the.
That would be interesting though. But then I'm thinking, as good as Hugo is, I'm wondering why they are not supporting that.
It says it's about the markdown engine they use. Hugo is built using something called Black Friday. Markdown. And Black Friday doesn't support these things. See, it's not even been updated since 3 years.
Wow.
So some of these things are markdown functionality that came, or maybe they've not even been accepted, but they came a little bit later. For example, let me show you the index.html of API toolkits content. So this page, this home screen page. So you can see there's a lot of styling going on here, but it's at the end of the day it's still content that you can represent in Markdown. But because I'm doing a lot of styling, I have to mix both HTML and Markdown. So if I scroll down, you should see Markdown somewhere. You see here now, this bit is Markdown, and now this bit is HTML. Why do I have to do this? I have to do this because there is no other way to style blocks. If Hugo supported, maybe I can find an example. Let me find a simple example. Okay, see this example here. No, not this one. I need something simple to show you. Okay, see this example. That's not the best example. I'm trying to find a good example to illustrate my points. Okay, see here, this is a very good example. I have this heading, your team's workflow. On the page, Damilola, I am not the only dev working, so we are two at the moment. So there's me and there's Yusuf, who has been amazing and implemented a lot of the amazing functionalities you might see on API Toolkit, but the bulk of the work was mostly me. It's a bootstrap company. I'm trying to keep it lean, and to do that, it means I have to engineer things in a way that is easily maintained by a very small team and a few people. So anyway, back to business. So you see this, Spanky, do you see this? Your team's workflow. This is a basic heading, but I want to highlight this to be yellow. It's something simple, it's just a class. But to do that, I have to wrap this around in HTML. If the Markdown attributes specification was supported by Black Friday and by Hugo, this is all I would have done. I would delete all of this HTML. I would put it like this, so it's a span, and then I'll do colon, and then I'll put all my classes. Dot bg amber 300 dot px2 dot rounded md dot drop shadow.
Yeah.
So which would you rather see, this or this?
Well, if I'm writing Markdown, I want to write Markdown. This mixing of stuff will get really confusing.
Exactly. So that's the whole reason why I'm building this, because I like my websites being Markdown. Someone who's not a developer, maybe someone who's a very strong content person, to come and help me with my copy, and they can just come in here and edit. But when they come and see all this HTML, it's confusing. So my Markdown parser was basically adding support for these attributes. So to put an ID, I can just put an ID, hash ID name. To put any custom attribute, then I can say attribute equals blah blah blah. So dot is class, hashtag is ID, and then anything else you can just do this equals to this. Yeah, let's go back to the code.
All right.
Guys, what do you think about the ideas and dreams about the dreams for this markdown person? Please tell me if it's a bad idea. Let me know that I should give up on my dream. Okay, I was trying to check if there's anyone on the stream. Okay, there's a couple people. Thanks for sharing. Okay, so let's go back to Rust and static site generation. Yeah, streaming late at night is not a good idea like that. How quick? Just unrelated question. What is your work schedule like? Like, what time do you find that you do your best work, your best coding?
Yeah, I think the best answer to that is that I don't work very well in the morning. I don't work very well in the morning. Even though, when you wake up in the morning, that's the time your brain is sharp and all of that. But I find it hard to get the motivation to do the job. But that morning I usually just use it to like read Slack message, gather context for what I want to do. And then when it's around that 12, that's when, things start clicking for me. I've eaten, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've worked in the corporate world for all of my career, right? And it requires you to be in sync with all the other engineers, which means working in the normal working hours. But I realized that I don't think I really gave my best at any company where I tried to, just do the normal 10 to 5, 10 to 6 that I used to do. Because it's by that 4 p.m., 5 p.m. that I start to actually be at my best.
Yeah.
So you've made me do the whole day from morning till that time. So all through the day, maybe I've done a lot of meetings, but
Yeah.
in between meetings, I'm just sluggish to do any real work. And then when I'm actually in the mood, in the energy to do real work, the day ends.
Yeah, the day has ended. Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I get that actually.
I think it's maybe
It's very
conditioning
similar.
from when we were new in our career. Those of us that learned alone, especially in
Exactly.
Nigeria.
Exactly. You sleep very late and then you wake up late as well. So you're used to that pattern of
Yeah.
getting active in the afternoon and evening.
Someone says best to 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. then sleep in the morning. In an ideal world, I would love to do that, but then you have to wake up by 10 or 11 to have stand up and have meetings and have. Hi, Grandma, you said you're looking for a few more use cases beside website implementation. I mean, there are use cases, right? For example, if you're writing a book, you can use it for your PDF generation. Um, but I'm building this to scratch my own itch because API Toolkit website will be generated with this same static engine. Also, all my products, including the Kahoots alternative that I am building. Okay, let's get back into engineering. This is very different from how I usually program. I would usually have a lot more on my. I like it's be like this. Then I would have like 10, 10. Not 10. I'm kidding, but I would have a lot of splits like this. So this is how I like
That's when
to
you are using
program.
That's when you're using like a big screen now.
No, on my
Maybe
Mac.
are you serious?
Yes, on my Mac.
No.
This is the sweet spot for me. On the big screen, I'll have more. I have like more. So this now I'll split it into two.
Yeah, I always want to see one file. I want to see as much as what I'm working on. I'm okay with switching windows anytime.
Yeah, yeah. I just got spoiled by that way of working. But when I have to share my screen like this, it's more tricky. Shy grammar. This could actually be applied via emailing as well. Shy grammar is an interesting name to say. But yeah, but the thing is, you need to the HTML you generate for web pages is not the same HTML you want to generate for emails.
Yeah.
So it would have to be a small change added. So I have a parser, the markdown parser. That's this file here, which converts the markdown into an abstract syntax tree, an AST, which is this one. This is the AST. It's a very simple one, and I'm going to add more and more types. But this translator is what translates that abstract syntax tree. This function translates it into HTML. So this translate header will translate it into a header. You see h1 attributes text, etc. So you need to take this translator and write a new version that is optimized for email. It would be basically the same thing. The main difference would be for the layout. Maybe you want to use HTML tables for the layouts, and maybe you want to use more inline styles instead of external CSS, things like that. But it is very doable, and there's a library for Go that does this. Markdown to emails, Golang, there's something like this, Go email. I don't think it's this one. Markdown, yes, supports Markdown, yeah. So there's already this library that does this, but I guess we could repurpose this my Markdown parser for the same purpose. It would be a very trivial change, just maybe a new translator. Okay, back to business. This is the parser. Let's go to the static site engine. So we have the documents. Let's remove these comments a bit. This is for the front matter. Matter will hold the past version of front matter from the markdown documents. Front matter is how do I define front matter? Front matter. Yeah. Front matter is extra metadata associated with markdown content. It is usually at the top of the markdown file and would be in a format such as, so we have 1, 2, 3 key value, key 2, value 2, and then you have 1, 2, 3, and then hashtag markdown content, and then so let's put this in a code block. markdown. Yeah. I think I should just call this MD. Just call it markdown. Okay. So key and key 2 are keys in the front matter associated with the markdown above. Okay, so back to Rust. So this front matter, we're going to pass it, get just a regular value. A value is basically, it's a representation of JSON. So it will be null, bool, number, string, sequence, map, tagged, which is basically like a tag is basically like a enums, and then this is like a list. So I can convert that into a third value. Then document data is all the documents for a particular file. So it includes the front matter, it includes the raw markdown, etc. And we're going to use this in rendering the templates. So here we're rendering the templates. We give it the raw markdown, liquid parser. I think I need to check again. Rust liquid. This is what we're using. So this, and then we have to give it an object for it to use. So this would be template.render, basically this. So this now would be the context, or maybe just a map actually. Just a map. So we can also use this. I'm thinking the context might be better. So I'll pass it this render context, which would hold everything it needs, everything you need to render a file. So I would just keep putting arbitrary stuff in here. So let's do that render context. I'm gonna build it. Oh, I already built it here actually. Let me call this render context. Okay, so this would be the rendered markdown. Oh no, let's call this processed markdown. So now we've processed the markdown. So this is the first step of just assuming this markdown in the example. Assuming I had decided, oh, I want to render the site name. I don't even remember liquid syntax. I've never written a template in liquid here. It's like that. So let's say I wanted to do config.site name, and this site name would be coming from this config file. So let's put site name. I already have title here. Let's go use title. So let's call this, sorry, let's go back to the index. So let's call this title. So this first rendering would convert this into another markdown, but without this. So that new markdown without this is what we are now going to actually convert to HTML and then put it into the templates scaffolding. it's complaining because, let me also print this. So this error, object view is not satisfied. The following other types implement object view. So it would prefer that the type this render context satisfies the type object view. But I think it should be possible to derive object view. Oh yeah, yep. There's a macro for it, so I can go add that macro to derive it to the render context. So object view. Do you understand how deriving, or should I explain?
Macros, I don't understand, except if there's like, do you know this thing in Java? That stuff you use at and put on top of functions. Is it
what are they called again? Decorators.
I think it's called decorators in Python, but it's called something else in Java. I've forgotten the name. Are they the same thing, or do they do the same thing rather?
No. So decorators are functions that they would accept the whole object and then transform things inside that object. So they are transforming it. While these macros are more for, is it overloads? Tim Cook says, is it overloads? Are they called overloads in Java? But in any case, in Rust, these derived macros specifically, macros can do all kinds of things in Rust. But Rust has a kind of interface system which is very different from Go's interfaces. The interfaces, which are called traits, are closer to Haskell type classes. And basically you can define an interface and someone else has to satisfy that interface explicitly. So this derive you can make a method explicitly satisfy this interface. So you see debug, this debug, it's just taking us to the macro. I can show you.
Does that mean that macros are just interfaces, or they do more than just interfaces?
No, macros do all kinds of things. Macros are for code generation. They're basically a kind of meta programming approach. So this is basically, imagine in Go now, if I want to satisfy IO reader in Go, I have to implement for that struct, I have to implement a method that says read, that does read.
Yeah.
So macros is basically that. Imagine if I could just add, macros are not that, derived macro is basically that. So imagine if I could add derived macro or derive IO reader or derive reader in front of a struct in Go, and automatically that struct now has a read method, so it satisfies the interface. It's basically that, but with a lot more magic, obviously, because Rust allows you to do a lot of magic that Go does not let you, unfortunately. So I have to implement value.
Who implements that? Who implements that? That function that it helps you do.
It's code generation. So if there is a derive, it means someone implemented it once as a macro. which is basically a template that says, okay, this is the function, this is what the render function looks like, and these are the arguments, but maybe this is the template of the code you generate inside it using these fields that you expect, or these things that you expect to be available, something like that.
Interesting.
So I have to implement value view, but it's failing. If you import display car object renderer, failed to resolve, could not find liquid core in the list of imported crates. Liquid core. That I just imported value view. It's here, no? I don't know why this is not working. See, for example, if I was going to implement value view manually, these are all the methods I would have to implement. But if the macro, the derived macro works, it means I don't have to implement all these methods anymore. You get the gist?
Yeah, I do.
But this is not working. I have to implement. Oh, I see. This is not the problem. The problem is that I don't have cargo lock terminal. So liquid core. This is one of the small things that I really like in Rust, that you can, when you're writing the dependencies, or in my editor at least, that it would show you the version, the latest version, so I can just put the latest version here without going to the website to check. 6.4.
Interesting. Can't you just like do cargo add, and just fetch it and add?
Can't you do what? Sorry, I was laughing at Kelvin's comment. He wants to build new template engine. But what did you say?
Yeah, like in Go, like I just do Go install the name and then adds it to the
You can do the same.
Okay.
But I mean, it's also flexible to just come in here and write it. We're hearing you out, Kelvin. Give us your pitch. DK, I'm writing it in Rust instead of Go because I'm the boss of my implementation, so I get to make the choices. Go is a lovely language. I've been a Go programmer since 2013 or thereabouts. I've written enough Go. You can definitely do this in Go. There's no reason not to. But how I like to write parsers is using something called parser combinators. And parser combinators are very annoying to write in Go because Go doesn't have generics, it doesn't have a lot of things which you need in writing a very good parser combinator library. And so in Haskell, I write a lot of parser combinators. I can show you. So API Toolkit, for example, has a query language. Let me show you. Let's pick a project. No, I want a project with some data. Okay, so this has some data. So hellos, I like to show API Toolkit. But we have this query language here where you can write your queries to search for anything. For example, let's do this. Let's search. There's no request body, but okay, let's search by error, 3 errors. Okay. And anyway, that API Toolkit is not what we're here for today. So this query language, so I can say give me this and where the method equals post run. So this query language here, this is the implementation in Haskell. I should have API toolkit code base somewhere here. Toolkits server. Parser somewhere here. Yeah. So see, all of that query language is in 200 lines of code, including all the tests. So these are all doc tests, which are my favorite way of testing, because they also are comments basically. Yeah. So being able to write such a parser in such little code, see, support for brackets, support for parentheses. Being able to write a parser, you need parser combinators for that, and that's my favorite way of writing parsers, and it's really difficult to do this in Go. So yeah. This is why I like doc tests. Imagine that this is a test. So if I change the implementation of this function, let's say it becomes a write, oh, it's not even gonna work. This is another advantage of Haskell. You cannot just do rubbish because the compiler would fight you. How do I make this code break? Let's change this. Let's make this Y instead of X. Let's break the test instead of. It just updated it. Sorry, it's showing my demo without breaking API toolkit. It's complicated. Evaluate. Oh yeah. Anyway, but this is my favorite way of writing tests, because I can just write comments. Okay, let me just do a new example. And let's say this was to with this here now. I was working on support for list. So let's say a.b.c equals xyz. So if I execute this, I get the value. So isn't it nice to write tests like this? So yeah, now I'm showing off Haskell. But anyway, parser combinators is what brought me here, and it's my favorite way. And you cannot write this kind of parsers. You can write them in Go, but this is the parser combinator library in Go. You just write way more code. Golang. Another reason is that Golang error handling is very explicit, and parser combinators depend on errors a lot. Can I find an example parser? Oh yeah, imagine how much code these guys have to write for simple stuff like this. This is the parser to pass a year. So I guess it kind of works at the end of the day. It's just you write more code, and I don't like writing too much code, so I'll do it in Rust or in Haskell. So back to implementation. Let's close API toolkits. Okay, let's see if this is gonna work now. This value view is what made us. Okay. Package not found. I did not name it properly. Cargo terminal. So it should be hyphen. Underscore. Okay, I think it kind of worked this time. Although it's complaining. The trait value view is not implemented for render context, so I have to derive value view here as well. value view. New errors. Our life, the trait object view is not implemented. Oh man, the life of a Rust developer is just the compiler screaming at you 10 times a day, and then you angrily doing what the compiler wants until it lets you rest. I'll do it here as well. Oh, and follow my channel. I realize I don't have any any followers on YouTube. So that's, yeah. I guess you can see the next things I upload. The trait value view is not implemented for Saturday YAML value. Not nice. The following other types implement value view. Hash map does. Object view is not satisfied. Damn it. So it's complaining because of this value here, this raw set value. Everything else it's able to derive this instance for, but this value here it cannot. So I need to figure out a solution. If I want to use this template.render and pass in the context, let's check if let's check the documentation. Yeah, of course they would use their liquid objects library, but I don't want to use that. So maybe they have a function to convert a T into liquid core model object. Function to object. So they have this to object function which might work. So let's just do it liquid to objects. So I would go remove these guys since they don't work anyway. Okay, so let's I forget to put let because of Haskell. Alright, so let's do liquid to objects and pass in this render ctx. We can expected and unknown. So serialize is not satisfied. I need to implement serialize on render context. So I will tag this, mark this as R, so that I can come here easily. And then I should mark this as C, as the current C, mark C. So now I can do in one. So that's the beauty of Vim. I can switch between both places in one stroke. Anyway, back to business. So I need to derive serialize for render context. Serialize. Did it work now? Oh, now I need to obj. The trait bound results object view is not satisfied. The following other types implement object view b-trees. I don't understand this error. I just did. Just crash if it's an error. Yeah, now everything works perfectly. So let's run this and see. It failed. Could not compile due to previous error. It's not implemented. Okay, I need to implement serialize for document data. So let's go up. Serialize. Oh, worked perfectly. So let's see if it worked. Let's see if this.
Short, but Tony, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. I want to go and make some few calls before
Yes, boss.
it gets too late.
Say hi to her for me.
Who says it's a her?
Late is this? But yeah, so we'll catch up tomorrow on the next streams.
All right. I think I'll do another one tomorrow though. Just to complete
Okay.
stuff.
Correct. What are you? Okay, you're trying to build something that just shows you the like LS.
Yeah. It has a long story background because my system is telling me that I don't have space, and I check the folder where it says I don't have space. I can't see anything there. So I just want to build something that would give me more information about what's there. I know I can find a tool that will help me do that, but it just seems like a very nice project to work on.
Okay. Well, I mean, build this, but the solution to your problem is something called what's the name of the software that I have? Yeah, this one. What is it called? Recommendations. I always forget the name of this app, but you need to buy a license.
Yeah.
It's called.
Clean my Mac.
Yes, Clean My Mac. So the reason is that a lot of the files that are taking up your space, they might be in folders that most of the software you're using right now they don't check.
Yeah, system data and stuff like that.
So when I use this, I've used 800 gig. I have very little space. But when you use it to show you everywhere, all the hidden stuff, and you can delete things, it even recommend. For example, right now, mine is already telling me that it has found files that are like system junk that it can delete for me. No, I'm not doing all of this now. But it shows me.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. Okay. It's probably what you need, but write the code, Cha. It's just if you get tired of writing the code, this is the best software you can use.
Yeah, it's not all that urgent, and it's not my work laptop. So.
Okay. Now. All right then. So let's catch up. So take care.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye. All right, back to coding. So what we're doing did not work. Unfortunately, it did not work because we want to. I didn't do it this well, but we want to marshal.config.title and replace this with the value inside this config file. So it's supposed to become example site. This place that says .config, the title should become example site. So I can already see that I made some mistakes. For example, I used this normal bracket instead of curly bracket. So let's go back. Oh no. Yeah. So this should be like this. So So let's do this again. Maybe it works this time. It crashed. Yes, if we don't work, at least crash. Error. Inner error. This error is so confusing. Expected value, something. So what is happening here is that it doesn't know, it sees this tag when it was trying to render, but it doesn't know how any research on how liquid works. So I'm probably not using the correct syntax for that situation. And let's just check quickly. So product.name. So I probably don't need to put the dot in front. Index. Let's remove these dots. And then maybe it works this time. And yes, it works. So our first bit of markdown processing and templating works like a charm. So the second thing we want to do is, what if from this markdown I could put something in the front matter. Let's say category blah blah, and then I want to mention the current category without writing it manually, but I want to just reference this variable. Can I do this dot category? I think it should be this dot raw dot category. I'm not sure. So there's one way to find out. I expect it to crash, and it crashed just like we expected. Unknown index variable this, requested index raw, available index front matter file name processed markdown raw. So this error is that we go in here, we go to this takes us into the document data. So I have to do dot front matter. I see. So maybe it would be nice to just say this dot and access everything about the current file. But it's okay. So this dot front matter I wonder if I can access all the other files, let's render this first. So my brain goes a bit faster than my mouth. So blah blah has been rendered in the category. So now you can put arbitrary. You can reference the front matter from inside your markdown. You can reference something in the config. And then if you want the files that are not supported by default, so you can do config dot. So for example, if I want to access blah blah, I can do value in the config. Let's say this dot front matter dot raw. Sorry, config dot raw dot blah blah. That's right. Yeah, it worked. Okay, so everything seems to be working for the first level of parsing. So time for stage 2. Let's see if there's any comments. Oh, yeah, Spanky went to speak with the Oga at the top. Karabina, any contributions, comments? If anyone who wants to join the call is okay, you just hit me up, maybe on Twitter, and I can bring you on. But let me continue coding. Okay, Kelvin went crazy with a very long long tweet. I'll share it in the chat. So follow Kelvin if you don't already. But he's going crazy with his templating idea. Okay, I'm not gonna read this right now, and it's a bit to read. But I will. Now I know who Shy Grammar is. Okay, let's get back into coding. So, much of the engine works now. The next level, which is the most important part, is to actually render this markdown into HTML and save it to the file system. This sounds easy, but I promise you it is not. And why it is not is that I have to figure out the logic for picking a template. What is the logic for selecting which template should be used in rendering this file? I have some ideas. For example, this is the theme. You can define a theme, and I have this default theme by default. It's default theme, so it will be there by default. So I want to make it such that I would, if an article is at the root level, I would find a corresponding index.liquid at that root level. If it is, for example, this one index.md inside article 1, I would look for blog_all and then index.md. So there will be a logic for finding the associated liquid file. But for version 1, there will be no logic. For version 1, everyone has to manually specify what is the layout, the template file that should be used. And to do that, let's add in a document in the front matter the front matter is where we will do this checking. So anyway, let's just render it. Let's first of all see if we can read front matter. Close this. close document. Font matter. It's a value, so it's difficult to read anything from a value. Can I? Yes, okay, yes, exactly. So I'll do as mapping to get it into a mapping, which is optional. So as someone who's doing very unsafe programming, I will do an unwrap. Yeah, let's just unwrap for now. No default. Now that we have it, I need to get a value. I should be able to, there should be like some gets. Yes, gets. So let's get something called layout. So layout is going to be, what is the template that you want me to use in Render? And try to support, if this value is not set, then what implicit logic can we use in selecting a layout? For now, you must specify. So we have this. And what does get give us? It gives us a value. So I'll unwrap again, because, you know, we do very unsafe programming. So we've unwrapped it as a value, and now we need to do, we expect it to just be a string as str. So this should be the layouts. Let's layouts. For documents. Okay, now the next step would be to read this layout and then use it to render the markdown. What does that look like? There should be some way to do this. How should we do this? Okay. So we can get the template. No, this is actually, I guess this would be the templates, which would be HTML. I can pass it in here as a string, but I don't think this is the most efficient way to do this. So render to, so I can render it directly to the file system, or I can, anyway, for now we do everything inefficiently. The first version, you should not strive to build the most efficient thing. You just build something that works, and then you can make it performant and efficient later. How would this work? I'm trying to see if there is a way to just load up all the templates at once into the, so I don't have to keep reading one template at a time every single time I need to render a file. It's not efficient. and I am a bit hesitant to just do that. Set which partial templates will be available. This will be very valuable because I want us to support partials. Template partials are like smaller bits of template you can define in your code, which you can reference from the layout template file. And this would be very nice. But it says N. N is of type partial compiler. So partial compiler has compile language, returns and results. This trait is intended to allow a variety of implementations to fit your needs, including compile partials eagerly or lazily. Report compile time error eagerly or lazily, whether to cache the results or not. Yeah, it's a bit past midnight. Build. Set which partial template will be available. Insert a new custom filter. Custom tag. Insert a new custom block. Create a liquid parser with built-in features. I'm already using this with standard library. This is a bit confusing. Yeah, this is confusing. If no, doing that, assuming every template is a partial, might not be the. So when you render a template, you have to specify this is the template I'm using to render this markdown. The partials are just the other things that you can reference from that template. So I guess even that template itself can be a partial, yeah. But maybe you could have a components that directory, and I don't even know yet. But yeah, it should be. I think it might be possible to just assume every template is a partial. Pass file. So you can use this pass file to just pass the file, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna do it inefficiently because that is how we roll. Let me change this parser builder. So instead of having many, we can have just one. Parser builder. And then let's use the parser builder. So if we have this layout for the current documents, I would try to, I don't know, pass this file, I guess. So parser builder dot pass file. So this file would be layout for documents with the root directory. That's probably not the best way to do this. I should just use formats. Does not implement display. Display is not implemented for this. Just speaking English. So what am I supposed to do now? Dot into. Type annotations needed. This type should be of type. Oh, a string. So I should put unwrap here again. So this would be type on string. So this is string. Root directory is also string. I don't think I need this into. What's going on here? Borrow of moved value, of course, always. So what am I borrowing? Front matter. Where was it? Where was it used? It was used here. Yeah, just do it the lazy way. .clone. What's wrong? Oh yeah. Yes, it's team. You're right. It might not even be slow, especially compared to the alternative, right? When you're doing these things in Rust, they end up being fast enough anyway. But because it's not just the language this time, you're trying to optimize how many times you're reading from disk, and it's the disk itself. Reading from disk is slow, so we might, even if we're using Rust, we might not escape that. Anyway, so now I'm passing the file. And I have to render it. Use this again. To use this dot unwrap, and then use this to, let me put this in individual lines. So unwrap, and then use this to work for a bit. So I have to give it the context. I give it the same context, but I need a way to specify, hey, this is the markdown that has been processed. So let's give it render context objects. Yeah, so I would say we put, we already have a field for the processed markdown here. So this documents, so I'll configure it here. Render text documents dot, this dot markdown processed equals No, passing the process to markdown. It should be render ctx. Cannot assign to this which is behind the reference. So I have to define this as mutable so we can update it. I cannot assign. Why are you complaining? I define this as mutable, but for some reason it doesn't realize that this is mutable. Alright, and Ross decides to stress me today. Cannot assign. Okay, let's go to Google. Oh, I see. So I did let's. So I guess I should do unmute. Nope, that did not work. Oh, true. Let's try. But they're just not even possible. I don't think you can even. Let me see. Immutable value of render ctx dot this. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, what's even the syntax for this? I've forgotten this. Assuming Oh, that's what you mean. So it's not like updating it on the struct itself. I think maybe let's do it on the struct first. Something like this, maybe. Expected and mute found and this. I see. How do you even do this? Let me see first. This compiler. Ah, true, it's even here. Can you imagine? Okay, let me figure out the new compiler error. Cannot borrow this as immutable because it is also borrowed as mutable. So mutable borrow later used here. Isn't there a function to convert this into immutable from mutable? This and document, I can't just do immutable borrow occurs here. Cannot borrow this as immutable. Can't I create a... I don't think to own this gonna work here. Box, not box. Definitely not box. So the thing is here we have a mutable value now. This markdown row is now it's or at least documents is a mutable value. But this function does not want a mutable value. It wants an immutable value. Okay, maybe this is working now. Expected this, found this. So instead of passing a reference, can I say to dot reference? It just added the reference in there. How should we go about this? Why are you thinking cell, ref cell so much for such a problem? I can't imagine why I mean, you might be right, but it's hard to expect that we need cell here. Let me check on. Do you think that would work even though it's mutable? Let's try. Okay. Yeah, the same error. So dereferencing is not the solution. So get an immutable reference from a mutable reference. Well, what you said is what came up here, but it didn't work. Okay, you know what? Maybe I'm doing too much. All we need is markdown raw. Let me just separate out markdown raw itself. Let md raw. So now we have a string. So I can just do md raw. So it says cannot move out of document. The markdown raw, which is behind a mutable reference, move occurs because markdown raw has type string, which does not implement the copy traits. Let's see. Still complaining. Yeah, I just cloned. Well, you definitely can't clone an immutable reference. So it doesn't let me do document that's markdown raw. Yeah, fuck this. I'm just stressing myself. Remove this. I'll just use result.content directly. Result.content. That's clone. Okay, looks good now. So I just did a workaround. I don't like solving hard problems when there are workarounds. Use results. So here we've set markdown processed to the new processed markdown. So I'm going to have to create this object again. Alright, so now it should work. So this time we're compiling the file .render. So let's do .unwrap. And then now we should have the final HTML response. Final. So let's say documents as HTML equals. So let's print this out. All right. Thanks Obina for code debugging this with me, and also Tim. I'm happy we figured something out. So it panicked line 1, 2, 2. Yeah, we're doing a lot of unwrapping, and we're unwrapping because we're trying to get this layout. Let me rearrange it. Think about rearrange it like this, it becomes easier to know where the panic is coming from. Which of the unwraps, since we have 2 unwraps. Oh, we have 3 unwraps actually. One to 4. So we're not able to get this as mapping. Strange. Which of the files is this? Justice, how far? Okay, so we had a panic, and I'm trying to figure out why. So it's panicking on this line, 1 to 4, but we should have printed something before panicking, except it's reading a file that is empty, which is not impossible. So let me log this and see. File path. Bro, Rust is no, you're not behind anything. Rust is a stressful language. I'm not gonna lie. And my last job was completely in Rust. So we tried to read this blog/index dot markdown and then panicked. Yeah, blog slash index. Yeah, it's empty. So this is why it panicked, because it's trying to read this markdown, expecting to see a layout file, and we did not set any layout. So we're going to set, we'll call it defaults. Default slash, let's just use the index.liquid. So, and do the same thing for this guy. So with the new current implementation, every file must have a layout. Maybe in the future we can have some special logic for designing a layout if it's not explicitly specified. But for now, they must have. Yes, so it's a stressful language. But it's also it's hard to recommend using Rust for anything, just because of how the stress could be. But Rust as a language, if you remove the borrow checker and all those things that are stressful, I think Rust is a better language. Their generics is powerful, their macros are powerful, etc. Yes, the layout is basically a liquid file inside a theme. So we're going to use that file to render the page. So let me define, let's put something in here. Let's say HTML doc type HTML body now. In here now I will put, how do you do this, liquid, and draw. I feel like I should spend time studying studying this, because I don't even know this liquid. I don't even know why I picked liquid. But I think it's probably a good choice, since Shopify templates are one of the most popular templates you would see anywhere. So a lot of people know how to build Shopify templates. I'm used to, my API toolkit size is built with Hugo, and Hugo is basically Go templates. And the Go team, they are very minimal. So I think the Go templating language is one of the most chaotic templating language, due to Go team trying to be too minimal. So they force you to write way too much code compared to this Shopify's liquid, where they have a lot of syntax that you can just use in the language by default without implementing them yourself. Yeah, so back to business. Let me just put it in. Let's expect this dot document HTML, something like that. Let me check if that exists. Yeah, Django uses Ginger. So Ginger is very similar, yeah. And Pongo too is, I think Pongo is influenced by Ginger. Pongo too, go on. Yeah, exactly. It should be similar to Ginger. See, Ginger like. But it's definitely Ginger. But I would say Liquid is very similar. A lot of things are basically the same, but with also some differences. So we're gonna do this dots in this document data. Now I would have to put in the HTML string. So HTML by default will just be empty. And then in here, so that inside here we can do this.html. Yeah. So this will basically refer to the current page. Okay, let's go render this and see. Would it work? Would we have a page? 7. It panicked because it tried to pass a file. Cannot open file. Example /default /index.liquid cause none. Strange. Oh yeah, I need to concatenate some stuff. Okay, so this would be example quick static themes / Oh yeah, it's gonna be very approachable. I actually think because of a lot of the cool aid that people like Uncle Bob and all of these guys have sold to us. They make us think anytime you want to engineer something, anytime you want to build something, they're making you think architecture. So and those architectures are abstractions where you have to write a lot of code. So even a system that is very simple, because you're trying to build the most perfect, well-architected system, it just becomes a lot of code and it's confusing. So I believe you should just solve the problem and then clean up the code. So if you see even the markdown parser that I wrote, this is the markdown. This is the code that converts the AST into HTML, and everything fits into 96 lines of code. The rest is tests. I commented out some of the tests because some of them are not passing. So 96 lines of code to convert the AST to HTML, and then 250 lines of code for the parser. So all of this is what passes the markdown. So by not doing too much architecture and too much stuff, I can write a complete parser in less than 300 lines of code and focus all the other code on writing tests. Exactly, exactly. We're always trying to scale too early, and everybody's code is so complicated. You are wrapping this, you are creating this interface for this, you are creating. When I see all those codes, I always laugh. Interface for when you have only one implementation of something, you're creating interface. Then you're having clean code architecture, you have repository, you have this, you have that. Whereas if you had just solved the problem, maybe you would have solved it in 100 lines of code, and then you just write a lot of tests and your system is working and your customers are already using your product. Anyway, back to business. You get, me that I'm talking, I've also made all of these mistakes. I've also done all of these things. Hoping I would open source it. I will, but I want to just make it workable first before I open source it. So we're rendering the HTML block/index.markdown. Okay, there's no content here. So let's put hashtag blog index list lorem paragraph lorem sentence. It's still not showing up. So we're obviously doing something wrong, because we should have the HTML version of this in here. So rendering it, that would be this .html. Have I set the .html value? I have not. So I have to do this. So we're rendering. Did we set the processed markdown as this? Oh, this is the point where I have to actually, I forgot. I actually have to call my markdown library, which is called pros markdown, and then give it this processed markdown. Semicolon, which returns a string, HTML, markdown, HTML. So at this point, we've gotten the markdown as HTML, and we have to set it here. HTML equals markdown HTML. It's passing. And tada, we have perfect. It's not perfect. The parser did not just. The parser mixed this up and it's treating everything as HTML, but that's another problem. We're gonna go back to the parser later. But we have HTML being generated. The next step would be to write this generated HTML to a kind of a public folder. So there should be under quick static, there should be something like underscore, maybe not even underscore public, we can just call it public. What? It's good to call it public. Or should we call it underscore public? Any ideas? Okay, call it public for now. And this way we're gonna put all the rendered HTML. So we would take this file name and change the extension and then write it. So let's take the file name. So this exact file name here. Let me log. Let's log what is the file name? File path. I think it's kind of nice that we already have the bulk of the static site generation handled. It's a nice feeling that you can build from scratch markdown parsing and the static sites side in a weekend if you do it. Bye team. I think I'll probably continue tomorrow. So if and I'll start earlier, maybe 8 p.m. or something like that. So if you have some time, it's be nice to have you here. But enjoy your sleep and yeah, take care. Public sounds familiar. I agree. Let's do that. Open now. So this is the full file path we have. I think it's. If I want to store this, I would have to remove this .example. Remove .example since that is the folder name, and then everything else. Remove the MD, replace MD with HTML, and save it like that to the folder. So, hi Eze, I didn't know you were here. Thanks. Nice to have you here. So we have this file path. The file path includes the root directory. So I can just do strip, string.strip. Sorry, thinking about names is hard sometimes. I don't remember this function string. How do you strip a strip prefix? Of course, it's called strip prefix. Okay. So file path dot strip prefix, and then this prefix is the root directory. So let's log this and see if it is what we want. Could not compile. So do this. Oh yeah, I need to unwrap this. Yes, it is exactly what we want. But why didn't we strip here? 1 to 7. It's crashing at this point. Oh, because this file does not have the layout specified article 1. So I'll just copy this layout, go to article 1 and give it the layout. Okay. Oh yeah, perfect. No, it's not perfect. This is HTML we should be seeing. It's not passing it properly, but anyway, we'll solve that. That's what we're solving right now. So we have this file path, which I think it's the correct file path. Blog. Index.md. So the next thing we want to do is to remove the extension. Yeah, I'll just do it the manual, very manual way. Strip suffix .md dot unwrap, and then let me add this. I'll just add .html to everything and save it. So let's write file. I always forget, how do you even save a file? Right, forest. Okay, it's as simple as this. So let's do this. It's probably gonna crash after the first run because the file already exists and then I have to do some editing, but this should work. Formats and then .html, and in here we can put file path nodes. So import file. File.write all does not exist. Okay, So what we want to write in here would be document as HTML. Okay, I think everything is good now. Oh, no. So I have to put it in the root directory /_ quick static / public / so this will be root directory. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, it didn't work for some reason. Time to figure out what that reason was. Oh, no such file or directory. So how can we create all? This should exist. I don't want to start doing the manual error checking. Let's check. First, write to file or create new. So what I want to do is, if the file does not exist, if the file exists, just overwrite it. If it does not exist, then you create it and write to it. But I feel like there should be a way to do this easily without me manually doing all the error handling and doing so much stuff. So there's create, and then there's create new. Oh, I see. File options, read. I don't understand. What is the difference between create new and create? Create a new file in read write mode. Opens a file in write only mode. Oh, I see. Okay, this is read write. So I did file.create. Now search file or directory. blog/index. I don't even understand why it's getting this error. Straightforward to achieve what in Rust? What do you mean? Blog/index. What is it talking about? $147. Okay, let's run it one more time. No such file or directory. So it's not able to create this file. Let me log it. For path to save. Okay, now let's leave this. I see. I mixed. I shouldn't have put this slash here. That's why we had that issue. Okay, one more error. So this is where we're trying to save ./example/quick static/public/blog/index.html. No such file or directory. So the directories in between do not exist. Oh yeah, that is so easy to do in Go, but I think it's possible. Okay, let's do it like this. How should we do this? For path to save. If it's okay, let's see if this works. I should have done like this. Well, it did not complain this time. And we have, yeah. So I guess the next thing would be to implement some way of serving that directory, but let's do it manually for now. What is the name of our folder again? Quick static. I have to rename it to quick static without the dash. So cd example, cd quick static public, and then caddy. And if I go here, localhost 2015, we can see our page, I guess. Quite in a, yeah, but so Obi, everything it works right now. At least we're able to go over, the website and publish everything to public. So the core of the static site engine kind of works. What is failing is that the markdown parser is not parsing some things correctly. I probably introduced a bug when I was doing some last minute changes yesterday. It's tempting to continue hacking on it, but since it's already 1:30, I'm thinking we should take a break, and I think I'll tackle it tomorrow. But thanks for pair programming with me on this. And yeah, we have a markdown engine, static site generator that kind of works. We just need to fix some little things, but it kind of works. Tomorrow, the effort will be spent. Quick question before we run away. So this engine now, you run it on a file, it generates the public directory, and everything is good. But most of the other static site engines, they do a little bit more for you, in a sense that they would have a function such as Hugo serve, and Hugo serve would basically serve the directory and open the browser for you so you can see what you're working on. Do you think that is something that should be added to the static site engine, or should we just tell people, hey, just run quick static and then save the directory with any other way you already used? What do you think? Should we have a quick static serve that would watch the directory and keep serving? What do you think? Are you there? Yeah, Jekyll has that. So you think we should support that? Okay, so I guess the work has been cut out for us tomorrow. So tomorrow we have to support serving. So we have to do some kind of file watching, directory watching. When the public directory changes, we serve the public directory, and then when the public directory changes, automatically refresh the browser. All right, that would be interesting to build. Okay, so have a lovely day then, and see you on the next stream. Oh wait, before you go, can you share your Twitter username, just so I know who? I know you said you don't tweet, but I kind of like to know associates people with the accounts. Or maybe I can even search for open. No. Okay. Now I know who it is actually. Alright then, so Obina, it was nice chatting today, and see you on the next stream.